Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So I just wanted to do a quick PSA for a lot of folks that may be in a place where they're trying to get the Bullet King because they want to run an LMG build and they basically can't get it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give you guys a few substitutes and show you how much work they're doing based on the numbers, and we're going to do some comparisons, just to kind of give people other ideas while they're still farming and trying to get this Bullet King. Now I understand exotics and the RNG in this game is really weird. I got this Bullet King dropped for me. I just was thinking to myself, what? And so it's just kind of one of those things. But without having some of these exotic weapons, sometimes it could be very frustrating. But one of the first things I want to say is, over time, when these exotics start to populate the the loot pool, people are gonna get more generous. Today we were playing and somebody just dropped a tardigrade and nobody took it, and it's actually slightly better than the one that I have. This is the one I have, and this one is just slightly better, but I'm probably going to recalibrate it. And I asked everybody in the group, does anybody want this? And everybody was like, nope, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5. So this is kind of where it's going to go. So meanwhile, the very first substitute that I will ask you to run is a non-exotic, and it's the Negev, the IWI Negev. And this weapon does exactly the same damage, total damage, as the Bullet King. Now, the only difference though is you can mod this weapon in your own way, so there will be some benefits to it. And I think in regard to burst damage, it will top the Bullet King just a little bit depending on how you build. But the Bullet King will definitely win when it comes to sustained damage. So today they talked about how, exotics, whether they're supposed to be the best weapons in the game. I think they just don't really have a wide answer for the way they want to address it. Because Nikki Coupons mentioned one thing, and then Bruce kind of talked about it in a different way, saying, they want people to play exotics in the style of the weapon, and they want people to just build around that. So if I was building for the Bullet King, I'll probably be looking for something that gives me extra ammo, or, some kind of buff in that sense, or just, flat damage. That's basically what I'm going to be building the Bullet King with. But if I'm going to be building with a Negev, I'm going to be going for crits. I'm going to be looking for a way to run something like the the gunner specialization. If you ran the gunner specialization for LMGs and you were running the Bullet King, it's not necessarily going to help you to give any much benefit. In fact, you have more freedom, but here you have to kind of narrow your building. And so when you're adding your mods, you can look at critical hit damage, you can look at critical hit chance, headshot damage. These are a lot of the aspects that you can use. You can use 5% headshot damage using the low reflex sight. If you want, you can get more crit chance, and this is going to add to how much damage you're able to deal. You can add reload speed. I added reload speed just to be silly because I have fast hands on this. And, you can go whichever direction you want. If you say, well, I don't want the extra, magazines, I just want to go with whatever it is that I want. If you have the 35 mag pouch, you can go with that. But the gunner specialization gives you 50, which is pretty good. And having that with fast hands is actually phenomenally better, in my opinion. And so the crits and the possibility to be able to do whatever you want, like, I can do critical hit damage, but like I said, I just wanted to be silly and added reload speed. And this is something that worked for me. So don't be dismayed. You already have a weapon that is in the general population pool that is, not necessarily competing, but it's kind of creating its own path regarding how it deals damage within the context of LMGs and, total damage, rate of fire, and all that good stuff. And then the second recommendation I will give is the custom L86. This weapon does a lot of damage. I don't know where this damage is coming from, but it does have 610 RPM. But if you look very closely, a lot of the other LMGs that are doing that kind of damage are firing slightly slower. What's the name of that one? This M40 or M60. I don't have one in this in this stash here. I sent it to other characters to go sit down because my stash got full and I started moving stuff around. But if you look at the M60 and you look at the others, they are around the same range in regard to the base damage, but you can see how this is clearly 40,000 base damage away from the Negev. Now, yes, it has a lower RPM, but that does not in any way cut, that doesn't even explain enough of why this weapon is not going to be a contender in my own opinion. I mean, the way both weapons are, they do good work, and if you get one with a good roll, get one with a good talent on there, you can be creating some serious work against enemy NPCs. The only downside that I would say is this weapon does not use a pouch, so you're limited to the 20 round mag that is provided by this 35.56, and that's basically where you are kind of limited. But hey, if you go ahead and look at other things being involved, you also see that your reload time is slightly less than the Negev. Now, this is why the Negev is the first one that I recommended, but look at the damage and look at the possibility of you maybe using even fast hands for something like this. And then you also have the ability to use crits as well to be able to to proc fast hands better, and you can do some really good reloading. And so 55 rounds, 55 rounds, 55 rounds in regard to mine rolled with extra magazine size. So if you want more rounds, that's one way to go. I know many people will say, well, take critical hit damage. Hey, if you find one with critical hit damage, I would also recommend that you take it as well. And so that's my second recommendation. And then my third recommendation is just one of the LMGs that has basically stayed in the shadows, and that's also the RPK, Black Market RPK family. They do have some very good total damage that they also deal. And one of the interesting things about them is there's actually a named RPK. Where are you? What is it showing? Oh, it's comparing it to... It's actually a named one called New Reliable. I think it's the Black Market. And this one's got perfectly optimized. It's got 30% weapon handling. I probably maybe will stay away from this. But at the same time, you also look at the total damage and look at the RPM and look at the magazine size. It's already base at 45. If you wanted to actually build with this, it would probably be something that I would recommend that you add extra rounds to it by using your magazine. I think he uses the 7.62 mag. You can get extra rounds on there, putting it at 65. So 650 RPM. Look at the damage the targets out of cover. Comparing that to your custom L86, you already start to see that both weapons they're not playing any games with you. They both are here to do some serious work. So with LMGs kind of wanting to take the back seat, I just want to let everybody know who's watching this video, who's talking about LMGs, that they're very good substitutes until you get yourself one of the exotics. And then you can start, messing around with doing fun builds and all that. But once it comes to base damage regarding crits, crit damage or crit chance, you have these three options that I've shown you. There are other, LMGs that you could also run if you want to, but damage, RPM, these are the guys that I will most likely recommend for builds. Number one, I'll be recommending the Negev because it does have some really good accuracy. Number two, I'll recommend the L86A2 because that also has some better handling than I've seen. And then perhaps the New Reliable variant of the RPK family and all of that, good stuff. So thank you very much for your time and audience. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. If there's an LMG that you feel will probably do some really good work and I missed out here in my recommendations, let me know. And just write it out there so people who are looking for information like this can see it, and also capture an idea that LMGs are actually worth using. But not every LMG is weak because the Bullet King is an LMG out there and the Pestilence is an LMG out there. It doesn't negate the fact that other LMGs are not viable. They actually are. In fact, I even saw a comment from somebody telling me that they were putting out, their RPK was putting out as much damage as some rifle builds. I don't know how they modded it. They just, put the comment real quick. They didn't tell me everything about the details. And so people are doing some really good work with this apparently. But I like to see your build ideas as well, and how your numbers are showing up if you're already running things like this. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys for all that you've done. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And thank you for commenting, for leaving your likes, and just having this conversation. It really means a lot to me as I make content here on YouTube. So see you guys later. Peace.